By the end of this video, you are going to know why focus is so important when it comes to your writing and your self-publishing. You're going to have the steps necessary to get it as sharp as possible, and you're going to feel great based upon the amount of progress that you're going to be making as you move forward through your writing using these very tips. This is Chris Baird from selfpublishingmadeeasynow.com, where self-publishing doesn't have to be so hard. Well, I can tell you, after having put out over 200 books onto the market, there are a number of steps necessary in order to get through that, to figure it out what it is that is going to be the most effective and getting the highest sales for the books that you're putting on the market. And I've put those steps in a checklist that I give away for free right here below, my secrets checklist. Just check it out in the description. So the thing is that one of my clients, I guess it was about 2 years ago, she was working on writing her specific book. Her name was Rebecca. And the thing was, she was trying to get a daily writing practice in. And this is something I hear so often from many of my one-on-one clients. It's as they're trying to work through this, they feel they just don't have time for it. There are so many things in life that get in the way. Whether you have your responsibilities to your family, you have responsibilities to your day job, maybe you have responsibilities to organizations, community organizations, and just sometimes you have hobbies. We like to watch TV, we go to the movies, we do things that are entertaining. And based upon all of these things, Rebecca found that it was becoming nearly impossible for her to make any progress on her writing. So we go day after day, and sometimes I get to the next session and it'll be like, okay, we really haven't made any progress since our last one. And that was leaving Rebecca feeling a lack of focus. And that is one of the things we're going to be discussing. So let's get into it. Where does the focused writing come from? What exactly are the keys? What did I tell Rebecca? Well, there's a couple of things that are very important to keep in mind. The first thing is the tight connection between focus and motivation. And if you feel demotivated, you're not going to have the focus. Motivation, it is that energy to do this thing. And like when you were very at the beginning, when you were just starting to write and you felt inside of yourself, it was so easy. You had these ideas, these stories, these things you wanted to share with the world. And as you moved forward, it was effortless. It was completely effortless as you were moving forward. It was just so easy. Then things started to get more difficult. In reality, if we look really closely at this, and this is something I like to do with my clients as well, is that we look at how motivation is going and be very careful, because your focus is directly connected to your motivation. And if you're able to keep your motivation high, you're going to discover that your focus is going to be razor sharp. And that brings us to our second tip of the day, and that is that motivation comes from practice and reps, or repetitions. Like if for all you go to the workout with weights and things, going through repetitions, we're going to do 10 push-ups or whatever it might be, right? And as you're going through, we're going through these repetitions. And so we're setting a schedule. We're going to get up and we're going to do our writing during this period of time. It doesn't matter if we succeed at getting anything out. It's just a matter that we sit down and we actually devote the time to do the writing or whatever that most important task. Maybe you're on the formatting step of your book or the marketing phase. One of these phases, right? And you're going to keep your motivation high by simply investing time every day, a certain set amount of time. For me, I would say when I would lose complete motivation on a task, I would then set a 5-minute goal on that task. Okay, I don't have much time, but I'm going to use 5 minutes a day to get really high-level focus on this specific task that I said I really valued and wanted to see progress on. So I'm going to repeat this. Well, what are we going to do tomorrow? We're going to do the exact same thing. You're going to focus a certain time of the day. Maybe you have to get up earlier and go to bed. Go to bed earlier and get up earlier in order to do this. Or go to bed later if you're a night person. But notice the point in the day in which you're doing this, you want to make sure that this is happening day after day. It is in the pattern of doing this and feeling the flow of progress as your book is almost magically writing itself, that we discover that progress is made, which brings motivation and something magical, which is focus. Your focus will start to come back in, and you set up, let's say 5 minutes, and before you know it was 10, 20, 30 minutes that you've actually dedicated to this. But that brings us to the third point, which is a very, very powerful one. This is the tools that I specifically use, and one bonus tip here as well. The first thing is I use a tool called FocusMate. It's a free one if you're only doing a few sessions, but you can actually put your camera up to your webcam. You can be connected with a stranger, and you tell them at the beginning of a session what you're going to accomplish, and at the end you tell them what you accomplished for a 30-minute session or a 1-hour session. And you can do it for free. You can do it, I think it's 3 or 5 times a week, something like that. You can do it for free, and FocusMate will be what you will want to look up. So this is a really powerful tool. It was in one of the books, and it's something that I used to use all the time, but I found that as I started making progress, my focus came in and my motivation, so I no longer really needed to use the tool as much. But if I ever find it difficult to actually get my time and focus on these things, then I will go back to FocusMate, because it is a great way to stay focused. Okay, then number 2, Toggl, Toggl. That's the next tool. This one is completely free. Well, they try to sell stuff. I haven't really bought it ever, but the free version, it will give you the ability to actually put a start and a stop whenever you start to work. So you can actually have an idea of how much time you're actually using. Sometimes we think we're using more time than we actually are. In fact, most people do things. Let's say most people watch more TV than they think they do. Most people sleep more than they think they do. Most people drink less than they think they do. So there's all of these sorts of things in life that we think we're doing it one way, but in reality we're doing it something else. And if we don't measure it, then how would we know that we actually are in fact doing these things that we actually say are so important to us? And when it comes to your writing and you want focus, let's make sure that there's a clock going so we can keep track of how much time you're actually using towards reaching your goals when it comes to the writing. And what better way than a free tool, Toggl. You could use a normal stopwatch, but this one is great because you can see on a weekly basis. And one of the things I go for is a weekly goal of how many hours I'm going to get in, and then I try to make sure it works out throughout the week, excluding, of course, days for which it's impossible. If you're on a vacation, then you have no responsibility. If you do work, we still record that, but it doesn't count towards the week's goals, okay? This is a really important one. And the final thing, it's sort of a tool technologically, but not really. It's accountability. And that's where daily accountability, where I check in with my business coach on a daily basis. And this is actually a service that I also provide inside of my group coaching, where we go back and forth on a daily basis. Those who do their daily updates, they make a lot more progress than those who don't do the daily updates. And so it really helps get you motivated where you're at a location where other people are giving their updates, and you're able to get motivated about the progress other people are making. And you're like, well, I should also be able to do the same sort of work. I should also put in some more time. And what happens? We get this trigger again. We feel the motivation kicks in, like, wow, I really should get going on this. And then as we start doing anything, moving in a direction, the focus starts coming in. And as we have that focus, we get into the zone, and then magic happens. The book almost writes itself. The formatting and all the technologies involved, we're just excited as we see things going forward. And that's one of the things, even with my formatting course students, or the ones who are going through the content marketing, it's by taking it one step at a time. We do things the easy way. And there's a lot of gurus who say, oh, just it'll be easy. You'll sell millions of books in a month or something if you just follow these steps or something. And there's a lot of people who will try to tell you that. In reality, that is I've never seen that ever work for anybody. And so it isn't going to be easy in the sense that you don't have to work. It's easy in the sense that we're using methods that are going to keep your motivation high, giving you that focus, and then pulling you in, and you will be amazed at the progress you can make as you invest in yourself, which is something that far too few people do when it comes to things like their business or their hobbies or whatever it is they're trying to do. It's putting an investment in themselves. And in reality, one of the end goals is to see the sales showing on your products. And that's one of the reasons, after having gone through this cycle over and over and over again, I was looking at my Audible for my audiobooks, and I saw we had just crossed the 18,000 book audiobook sale marker, which I thought was fantastic. I know people who've sold 60,000 using all sorts of interesting tricks, but for me, 18,000 is fantastic. And these are the sorts of things you can expect when you actually do focus. If you want to hear more about this story of how I sold 18,000, check up above me here, and I'll see you over there.